Right. So good morning and welcome. Our topic is writing task 2. As I always highlight during my discussions, writing task 2 is the most difficult part of your exam. So in the written component of your test, it includes your listening, reading, and writing, which will happen in that particular order. All right. So we have your listening, which is your first test. This will last for 32 minutes. Followed by reading, which you have to endure for an hour, and then writing, both tasks 1 and 2, you're expected to finish this in an hour as well. So in total, the runtime of your test is about 2 hours and 30 minutes. 2 hours, 32 minutes to be exact. So basically, if someone who will be taking the test without that much preparation, diba? You're in for a treat because you have to endure this 2.5 hour long, gruesome, grueling exam. So basically, you have to also improve your test taking strategies by means of improving your test taking stamina. Sitting through a 2.5 hour long examination is going to be tough. So writing in particular is actually the most difficult, as I've highlighted in the first part. We have 2 tasks to complete in writing. Writing task 1 is going to be 20 minutes of your writing hour, whereas 40 minutes is dedicated for your writing task 2. So the reason for that is because writing task 2, you're expected to finish this with your arguments, with your opinion, with the details that you provide. You're expected to include 250 words here. So whereas your task 1 only wants you 150. So the reason why we have discrepancies when it comes to time is because you need to spend more time on something which requires you more time to finish. Hence, the time discrepancy. 40 minutes for task 2, 20 minutes for task 1. That's how it goes. But again, it depends on your approach because they will not monitor whether you are spending 40 on task 1 and 20 on task 2. It's completely up to you where you want to begin, how much time you have to spend on each task. But my suggestion is, because writing task 2 requires you 250 words to finish, spend 40 minutes, use the prescribed amount of time for you to finish this task as a whole. So you have 5 formats, meaning if you are a new enrollee, these are the 5 writing task instructions you have to attend. We are just finished with do you agree or disagree, discuss both views and open-ended last July, and I am now trying to cover the remaining, to what extent and advantage, disadvantage, this month of August. So by next month, September, expect that your do you agree or disagree, discuss both views and open-ended will reappear on the roster of our exams. So we are here exactly at to what extent do you agree or disagree. I will not discuss both views. I will not cover open-ended today because once again, they're already finished. You have to wait for a month and a half for you to round the cycle once again, to complete the next cycle. So if you are just enrolled, if you just enrolled this week, welcome. This is your first writing. It doesn't matter. You have to attend all of the 5 writing instructions I have at my stash because, let me give you one example. One of my talented students took the test last year. She was able to attend. Do you agree or disagree? To what extent? Open-ended, advantage, disadvantage. So if you're going to do the cycle here, she started attending to what extent, then open-ended, then advantage, disadvantage, then ended with do you agree, disagree, which did not give her an opportunity to watch a discuss both views or attend the discuss both views lecture. Then her examination, right? It was very playful because out of the topics she attended, the one she did not attend, discuss both views, was the one who appeared in her test. That is why, for you to maximize your stay here, for you to maximize the enrollment fee you paid for, please attend all the 5 because we may not know whether Destiny will be playing its jokes on you. So please attend all those formats. It's very important because the approach and format differs depending on your views about the task. And to what extent is actually a very complicated one because once again, we are going to combine the do you agree or disagree format with your point of view of the matter. So those are the 2 things you have to consider in terms of understanding how to deal with the format. Once again, in the Philippines, in terms of those criteria that examiners use to assess your performance. Again, this will be converted into points, which will then be translated into band scores. Band scores, obviously, which is what you want to use for your application. So for example, I only have to score, let's say 5 as my overall band score. That means my listening, if it gets, let's say 6, if my reading, let's say gets a 5, my writing gets a 4, and my speaking gets a 6.5, for example. If you add all of these together, this will still produce a band 5 for the test. So that means you have a failing writing score of 4, yet you can still fly abroad because you're only looking for the OBS or the overall band score. But not all of us are lucky to have this kind of blessing because let's say we are using this examination for the purpose, let's say, of student visa application, which somehow is going to differ depending on the university itself. In Australia, for example, same province, same city, different university, same course, different band scores will be required. So for those of you applying for a student visa, it is your job, it is your task to ask the registrar department what is the band score, whether it's individual or overall. Okay, so when it comes to individual, let's say your target is listening 7, reading 7, writing of 6.5, and speaking of 7. Even if you manage to get 9, but 6 in writing, 9, you are still not going to fly abroad. Unless, of course, you have to avail this recheck, which I'm going to give you more in detail about. And also, if you're going to do the one skill retake, which is very common these days. So this is basically what you need to understand when it comes to scoring process, individual versus overall. All right? So once again, enough of me blabbering about these its and bits and pieces of whatever. My goal is to impart information regarding this writing task 2 to what extent anyway. So let's begin. Our main goal is to be familiar with the details of the IELTS writing task 2 subtest. What is writing task 2 all about? Why it's the most difficult, and how can I best improve my chances of hopefully getting the band score that I need. So once again, I keep on repeating this. For the 5th slide, I keep on highlighting that this is the most difficult task in the whole IELTS subtest. Once again, in listening, there are questions. Let's say in question number 1, where will the family travel? And they will say, oh, we will travel to Australia at Bondi Beach. And they will even spell B-O-N-D-I. See how difficult can listening be? Listening is by far the easiest out of the 4 exam. Reading, people are struggling with reading these days. I mean, come on. The answers can be found there, literally. Sometimes you will wonder, hey, how come I wasn't able to find this answer, which is clearly staring right back at me? Diba? It's just a glorified hunting test. Reading isn't actually a comprehension exam. This is just a glorified hunting test. You have to hunt for 40 answers in 60 minutes, and that's it. Speaking, right? What are the questions in speaking? What is your favorite color? Blue. Because ever since I was a kid, I like the color blue. I like blue cars, blue paint, and blue toys. That's why my favorite superhero is also Superman, because mostly he's covered in blue. Diba? You have your answer, you have your reasons, you have your justifications, you also have your examples. That's how easy speaking is. I will not ask you about what is my favorite color. Like, as an examiner, can you guess that? Of course not. It's difficult. Will I ask you, when did Ferdinand Magellan arrive in the Philippines? No. The questions will be about yourself in speaking. And they are too damn easy. Seriously. Speaking questions are fucking easy. But writing, questions in writing. Let's begin. There will be questions about environment, questions about technology, and how it affects one's daily life, and sometimes combination of both. How does technology affect the environment? Education, healthcare. What else? You can also encounter questions about controversial topics. Let me give you an example. Like, why do people in cities don't know who their neighbors are anymore, unlike before? Like, why do people prefer online shopping than physical, like going to the physical store for shopping, for example? Everything is going digital now, even games. So issues, general public interest are what you will encounter as questions in the exam. The problem with this is that it can be way too technical at times, that you may not have the slightest idea about it. For example, we had an encounter about this question probably 4 years ago. It's about green wave shopping. Like, what the hell does green wave shopping even mean? So if you do not prepare, if you're someone who like to take this lightly, boy, you're in for a treat. Because you will be taking this examination multiple times, I promise you. Okay? Like, what the hell is green wave shopping? This is the concept where people prefer buying eco-friendly products or supporting eco-friendly companies, although that means they have to pay more for it. Let's say a pair of shoes from Nike on sale is around 2K in pesos. And then there's this pair of shoes in Adidas that claims it uses discarded fishing nets from the ocean, which would otherwise end up strangling these poor seals and fish in the sea, diba? So because you are a proponent of sustainable lifestyle, this pair of shoes is 10,000 pesos. You would buy this even though it's more expensive. That's what green wave shopping is. Again, the question here is, you take the test, what if you don't have an idea of the question? How can you possibly write a 250-word essay out of it? Will it be easy or difficult? Yeah. It's going to be tough. All right? That's the point I would like to make. If you are not going to prepare, you will be having a tough time addressing this problem. That questions will be difficult, and it will be difficult for me to produce a 250-word argumentative essay for this particular topic. So what will be my suggestion? Of course, I've done taking this exam a decade ago. And it's your turn to take the test. And you will take the test for reasons. And that reason is practically to go abroad. Diba? And your hump, the major obstacle, is IELTS. Actually, IELTS is just a minor obstacle. The major obstacle is writing. Writing is your major obstacle. Because once again, even without review, getting a 7 in listening is guaranteed. I'm not belittling, I'm not mocking the test, but simply, listening is easy, reading is easy, speaking is fucking easy, writing is not. So if you're not going to do your part, then we will be spending a lot of time together here. Okay? You know how hard it is to wake up early in the morning on a Saturday, right? You could have, watched a lot of movies last night. You could have played a lot of video games last night. You could have drunk a couple of bottles last night, but you didn't because you had to wake up early and attend the class. And you will listen to Sir Kevin rattling, rambling about things. Yada, yada, yada. Nakakasawa, di ba? O kung hindi ka mag-aaral, buwan ang itatagal mo dito. Ulit at ulit ka sa exam. Again, you're already paid. We're already spending the money you paid for with the bills. We're paying it for the bills, with the expenses, with the services that we provide. If you want to stay here for a year, you're welcome. Di ba? But clearly, there is a reason why you're here. And it's because you don't want to stay here for long. That is why there are a couple of things you have to promise yourself. Start doing this, self. Number 1, read past exam questions. What's the point of reading past exam questions? People, I'm going to tell you this dark secret. Exam questions in the IELTS get repeated on a yearly basis. Sometimes, my students who are living, let's say, in Australia, in Canada, in Singapore, they will take their test there, and they will let me know, sir, my question is about environment, and this is the exact question. A month later, my students will encounter that question here. Okay, so they recycle the questions. Why? Why do past exam questions get repeated? Question is, what are the past exam questions about? The past exam questions are about issues, problems of the society, right? General public interest. Oh, what are general public interests? Like war, diba? Oil prices due to war. And because of that, people are now panic buying electric vehicles. Are you getting the point? Oh, we have AI now. And because of AI, there's this commotion, especially in Western countries, because people can drive their Tesla cars while they're sleeping. What about the safety? What about the practicality there? Right? That's a question that's going to prompt people's opinion. And it's still a problem. The problem we had in 1970s about pollution is the same problem we are experiencing right now. Did we have traffic problems in the 1990s? Yes. And we have a problem in traffic worse today than in 1990s. That's why questions get repeated, they get recycled. So when you read them, there's a tendency that they will reappear, right? And when they do reappear, you will be thankful now. Oh, I'm glad I read the past exam questions because I was now able to segregate. This is your goal. As you read through the questions, you have to segregate. What questions do I have enough knowledge about? And what questions I think will make it, what questions I think will become the issue when I take the test. So think about it. you tell yourself, imagine, self, today's your test. And this question number 1 is my question today. Your question to yourself is this: can I pass the test with the knowledge I have about this question right now? If your answer is yes, move on to the next question. If the answer is still yes, move on to the next question. If the answer is yes, move on to the next question. If the answer is no, then tell yourself this: this question that I don't have much idea about, this will now warrant myself. This will not warrant me to read about it. Right? Because thankfully, today's not your exam. You still have things that you can do to improve yourself. That is where you will read topics, articles about topics you don't know much about. English literature, broadsheets, newspaper. Please, English newspaper. Hindi po bulgar tik-tik, ano? At hindi mga chismis sa Facebook ang babasahin. Okay? Not vlogs. Read newspaper. Particularly the opinion and the news section of the newspaper. Sometimes you can read lifestyle and sports because lifestyle and sports could also be topics in the test. So, and then, read samples. Where can you get samples? We provide samples during discussion. We have tons of samples. And I will also conduct a live written performance in the end. So that's another sample on top of like the 6 or 7 examples already on the handout. So after this lecture is over, again, we have the replay for those candidates, for those classmates that were too drunk last night to wake up early today. So everything that they missed can still be watched later. And I'll be posting a video link that will get you through the video. I will also include this handout, this exact same thing I'm using. So you have your samples already, and the orange book. The orange book is a PDF that contains the past examination questions. So everything that you need are provided to you. Okay? So please make it a habit to read the past exam questions, read at least 1 article per day, and read samples prior to practices. So 250 words, 40 minutes. This carries more weight than task 1. So here's the computation. Writing task 1 score added by writing task 2 multiplied by 2 divided by 3. So let's say your writing task 1 score is 5 and your writing task 2 score is 8. We multiply 8 by 2, which now gives us 16, right? This gives you 21, which will then be divided by 3. Then your band score is 7. Meaning, writing task 2 indeed has more weight than task 1. Now, if we are going to flip the script, you get 8 in writing task 1, 5 in writing task 2, you multiply it by 2, you get 8 plus 10. This is 18 divided by 3. You only get 6. Even though the impressive part of your test is task 1, it is not enough to pull it up. Writing task 2 is the one giving orders here. So that is why my suggestion is you begin with writing task 2 in the actual exam. Any single one of you hearing my voice who will not follow my advice of beginning with pass 2 in the actual exam will be cursed. You will be staying in the Philippines for 10 more years. Okay? Do you believe in curses? Ang hirap mag-joke pag English, hayop. Ala nakakaintindi. Ibig ko sabihin, pag hindi nyo ako sinunod, yung sinasabi ko, mananatili pa kayo sa Pilipinas ng 10 taon. Okay? Joke yun. No? So, please, sumunod kayo. Alright? So, this is how your exam will be graded. We have your writing task 1 and writing task, examiner 1 and examiner 2 sheets here. Since we no longer have the pen and paper based exam, by the way, in the past, we only had the pen and paper based test. But now we have the computer based only. We no longer have the pen and paper based exam, but we still have the same criteria how examiners assess their performance. First is, of course, the question, why do we have 2 examiners? Actually, you only have 1 examiner. Examiner 2 comes into the picture if you will avail recheck. Recheck, or otherwise known as your inquiry on results. I posted a video on Thursday, 2 videos. One for EOR, everything you need to know about EOR. This was, I think, a 45-minute long video. So if I'm going to do a discussion about it right now, baka alas 4 na di pa tayo tapos. No? So please watch that video about EOR. The other video is the combination of band score. So let's say my target score is 7 on everything. And I was able to get, let's say, 7 listening, 7 reading, 6.5 writing, 7 speaking. For me to practice my profession as a nurse in Ireland, for example. Now, what happens? Oh, gawin nating makatotohanan. 6.0. 6.5, 7. Okay. And these are your score. 9 listening, 8 reading, 6 writing, 7.5 speaking. So, you have one problem. Your writing didn't make the cut. Okay? Your writing didn't make the cut. Your target is 6.5 and you were only able to get 6. So, if you're going to avail the EOR or inquiry on result, they will check your test again. Another examiner will look into the paper and based on the examiner, okay, I think this band 6, I will improve it to 6.5. Because in my judgment, I think this is 6.5 worth, not just 6. Okay? Can you guys follow? Can you follow? Alright? So, you will receive an email. Congratulations, your score has improved from 6 to 6.5. And they will return the money to you. It depends. If you will avail the recheck for writing only, they will only check your writing. If you will avail the recheck for speaking only, panoorin mo yung video. Ulit mo eh. Pag nga pinaliwanag ko lahat yan, ubus alas 2, andito pa tayo. Oh, but just for the sake of answering that question, yes, you have to pay 6,700 pesos for both. If I'm not mistaken, if it is IDP, 3,400 for writing only, 3,400 for speaking only. And if that score improves, if that score improves, they will return the money. Diba? Ang sarap. Soli pera. So this is my students' experience so that our Zoomies can see it. Yan. Writing 0.50 increase, speaking 0.50 increase. From 6 to 6.5, from 6 to 6.5. And the money was returned. That is why we have two examiners. We have examiner 1 and we have examiner 2. Now, sir, I receive an email. Your score is unchanged. Your score remained the same. What's going to happen now? That's where you will avail this combination of band score, where you will take, before, kailangan mo i-take lahat. You have to take all the tests, listening, reading, writing, speaking. Now we have this one skill retake. And if this one skill retake, let's say writing is the problem that you had, you can just combine it easily. Let's say 6, I availed recheck, it didn't increase. I took the test again, it became 7 now. I will combine it with my previous score. Altogether, I can now go to Ireland. That's how this works. Okay? Questions? La? Are you sure? Okay. So we have examiner 1, task response, coherence, vocab, grammar, under length, number of words, penalty, off topic, memorized, eligible. Let's begin with eligible. If your handwriting cannot be understood, you will fail the test. We had a coach before. His initial score was 5.5. Nobody in the British Council can read what was written. So he was summoned. And from 5.5, his score improved to 7.5. He basically recited the content. Kasi pangit na nasulat eh. Diba? So he recited the content of his output and he got 2.0 whole points increase. This is the largest in record. If there's a Guinness World Record of largest jump after recheck, this is it. In the branch, I used to have a student 6.0 in speaking, 6 to 7.5. So this is my largest jump for speaking, 1.5 whole point increase. So guys, trust me, believe in the powers of recheck. Okay? If you didn't make it, writing, speaking, sir, how come we are not allowed to undergo recheck for listening, reading? You know, what are you going to expect? Your answer to number 37 in listening is A. The correct answer is B. Simply, nothing will change. You're just wasting money. That's why we don't have any recheck in listening and reading. Only writing and speaking. Okay? Eligible? Congratulations, because you don't have to suffer from this part of the test because we no longer have the pen and paper based exam anymore. This is only computer based. So everything that you do in the writing exam is typewritten. So we have the universal font now. And it's auto-justified. Unlike before, we also have to consider the spacing, the paragraphing, the margins even. If you miss a margin, let's say we have this black border right here. If you exceeded in that part, this is automatically a 1-point deduction. That is how critical writing is before. We also include that in our teaching, but now this is auto-justified. So, which means that words automatically fit the spaces. Okay? So, eligible, memorized. We have samples online, correct? Like if you Google writing task 2, to what extent do you agree or disagree sample? You can see tons of those samples. But those samples have universal format. Like it follows one particular guide. Like one size fits all. Which is, as I've mentioned, we have 5 instructions. And those 5 instructions require 5 formats. 5 different ways. 5 different approaches. So if you're going to use this one universal format, examiners will identify, oh, this is a memorized format. Let's fail this person. Right then and there, wala kang laban. So please, I'm not saying that you avoid reading or watching videos giving you tutorials about how to do writing. But I have this conspiracy theory that the British Council itself is the one who put those fake videos online. You know why? Because Filipinos like to DIY everything, right? We like to solve everything on our own. Like for example, I'm going to take IELTS. I will not do a review. Why? Because we don't want help. Magaling tayo, tama ba? May habang tayo mga Pilipino. We are proud. We are a proud breed of people. So, if I take the test and then fail the test, that is the only time I will realize that, hey, maybe I am underestimating the exam. That is the only time you will avail the review. Those are my favorite kind of students. Because that means they already learned their lesson. They already got the slap of reality. Nasampal na sila ng katotohanan that this is not an easy thing to do. Okay? So, imagine myself, if I'm British Council and I will post a memorized exam. If I will post a memorized format, a lot of Filipinos will fall into my trap. And a lot of Filipinos will fail the test. What happens if you fail the test? What is your target band score in writing? 7. What is your target band score in writing? 5. What if you watch a video that I am British Council, I posted, but this is leading you to the wrong hole, leading you to the wrong thing, leading you to the wrong boss, leading you to the wrong room, na? And you failed. What if you failed? What are you going to do? After you fail, what are you going to do? Take the exam. Which means you have to spend money. How many candidates take the test in a year? 200,000. What is the hit rate of people who can get 7 the first time? 9%. 9% out of 200,000, or only 18,000 Filipinos will get 7 the first time out of 200,000. Are you seeing the number? First takers. Now look at the number. For second time test takers, Filipinos who get band 7 is 56%. Did you see the jump? Did you see the jump from 9% initially to 56%? So ilan na to? 112,000 Filipinos will get 7, but on their second time. You know why? Because they now did the review. They failed first. They understood that this is difficult. Now I need help. Because I don't want to waste any more 15,000 pesos. How much is the review? 7,500 pesos. Half of your exam fee. So see? So more than 100,000 Filipinos who didn't get 7 will have to retake the exam. So if you have 200,000, you multiply that by 15K. We're talking about 4 billion in pesos. Eh, nagpakalat ako ng maling video. Marami na biktima. May 100,000 nag-retake. That's another 1.15 B in cold hard cash. Damn. This is a business after all. They're not here. They're not here to help you. They're here to get your money. Can't you understand that? This is a money-making machine. And everything happens just because you trusted a video you saw online. You know, people are very quick to trust online resources these days. No? Guys, if I know how to guarantee a band 9 in writing, I won't post it on YouTube. Promise. I won't post it. Why? Because I have to get paid for it somehow. And question is, why are they doing this for free? Exactly. Because they give hope, false hope, to candidates who are hopeless. They will give you false positivism. Like, this is easy. You just have to do this, this, and this, and that, and you will get 9. But those claims will not happen. So why are they doing this for free? Well, they are not doing this for free. You are paying them indirectly through ads and revenues. So this free tutorial is a hoax. They want to make their videos sound enticing, sound promising, so that you will bite. And when you do bite, you will fail. And when you do fail, you have to retake the test. Again, this is a cycle, right? But look at my discussion. Look at my discussion. Have you ever heard anything about IELTS writing being easy? Or this is going to be a cakewalk or a piece of cake? No. Kasi no one wants to hear the truth. They want to hear comforting lies. They want to hear easy way out. Kaya nga ang daming mga slimming injections, slimming pills. Ayaw nilang mag-workout, ayaw nilang mag-diet kasi mahirap yun eh. But that's more sustainable in the long run. You read questions, you read articles, you read Orange Book, you read examples, you attend classes, you do your assignments, you have yourself coached, and we continue from there. The crazy part here is that in the 200,000 test takers last year, no one got a band 9 in writing in the Philippines. In 2024, no one got a band 9 in writing. 2023, 2022, 2021, the most recent band 9 we had in the Philippines was 2020. That was 1 in 1 million test takers. That's how rare a 9er is. Sir Irvin, our CEO, didn't even get a 9. 8.5 was his highest score in writing. So in the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken, since 2016, when I started teaching here, there were only 4 individuals who got 9 in the exam, in writing. 4 candidates. And 3 out of them is our coach. And the 2 out of them, Ma'am Faith Sir Kina and Sir Brian Martin Shosan, became a mentor. Okay? Out of the 7,000 candidates I coached, only 3 got themselves a band 8. If you divide it, you know Pokemon? You know a shiny Pokemon? Chances of you catching a shiny Pokemon is 1 in 8,192. So this is just as rare as finding a shiny Pokemon. Because yung isa dito, hindi pa Pilipino, nasa Sri Lanka. Yung isa dito, hindi pa taga Luzon, taga Iloilo pa. Diba? So let's imagine, you are as good as them. Ba? Imagine natin, sir. Kasing galing nyo sila. Okay? But look, the number of words is only 249. Is this under length? Uy, natanong ko kayo. Under length ba to, 249? Yes. Because our minimum requirement is 250. So, the exam is ruthless. Piso lang kulang. Under length, check. Automatic TR, 5. You add them together, 8 plus 8 plus 8, 24 plus 5, 29, divided by 5. Sorry, divided by 4, that's 7. But, remember, because this is under length, there's a penalty. Kuha? That is why these number of words, this is the most critical part of the test. Make sure that before you click submit, you wrote more than 250. Good news, computer-based test takers, you have a word counter. So you will see whether you did make it or not before you submit. Okay? Word counter. In the past, we have to count it manually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Towards the end of the test. So if you compare, agree, disagree, we discuss both views. To what extent? Type / open-ended. The approach and format differs depending on your views about the task. What does it mean in Tagalog? That's it. It's up to you, completely up to you, how you want to define your format. And I will teach you 2 surefire ways to make sure that your format is bulletproof. Alright? So look at how we arrange your paragraphs. For the basic, do you agree or disagree? We introduce a topic and stand. Never forget this. We have your argument 1, 2, and 3, and we have the summary and affirmation of stand. Meanwhile, let me erase this. Because in the past, we have 3 formats. And to what extent? But the third format is no longer encouraged because nobody passed their test using that format. So please don't try to experiment on your test anymore, okay? So it's either you agree 100%, call this the 100% approach, and the 70-30 approach. Once again, you have the copy. I will be providing you with this PDF later. So we will be highlighting more of this, what is written here, what's the content of this part. I'll be highlighting that later. So task accomplishment is making sure to discuss all parts of the question, presenting relevant ideas and opinions, being able to develop a well-supported argument and making your position clear. Position, which means technically your stand. Coherence is paragraphing. We will not argue about this anymore. If you want to pass your test, the first time, for the last time, there are 5 paragraphs for an opinion type of question. And under the opinion category, we have the do you agree or disagree? You have the cousin of do you agree or disagree, the to what extent. Basically, how will you know that they're cousins? Well, you dummy, you already have the last name. They both have the do you agree or disagree last name. And do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? If you notice, if you see them, they will, you are prompted to write a 5-paragraph essay for this kind of output. Anything more or less than that means you fail. Ganun lang po kasimple. Narinig niya? Kung ginawa mong 4 yung paragraph, ginawa mong 6 yung paragraph, bagsak. Ganun lang po. Usap-usap. Okay? If you're going to understand the data, task response score of the Philippines is 5.8. Coherence and cohesion score of the Philippines is 5.3. Look at that. What is your target band score? 5. Your target band score, 7. So it's too far. And this is the average. Naturally, there are people here who are outlier. Yung nagpapababa pa niyan ng average na yan. What's the reason? Paragraphing. You already know. If it is opinion type, agree, disagree, to what extent, advantage, disadvantage, you have to write 5 paragraphs. How difficult can that be? Coherence is paragraphing, whereas cohesion is transition between those paragraphs. So if you are trying to add ideas relevant to the previous one you mentioned, let's say from positive to positive, or from negative to negative, you will use these course markers that are meant to add. Example, in addition. Furthermore. Moreover. In addition to that. Meanwhile. So you have to use your cohesive devices to make sure that the transition is smooth. It flows smoothly in a logical manner, boasting communicative quality in your written output. If you are transitioning from a negative idea, negative to positive, or the other way around, positive to negative, for example, di ba? I keep on using positive, negative, negative, positive. Let's say, this is the paragraph discussing the advantages of using internet in children's education. So, one of the major role of internet in a young person's education these days is the ease of access to information prompted by availability and convenience that this technology provides. Blah, 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 explanation, yada, yada, yada. For example, boom, boom, boom. Next paragraph, however, you will be now promoting the disadvantages of the internet. So from positive, you will introduce the negative, or the other way around, negative to positive, you will be using however. In contrast, on the contrary, on the other hand. I'm actually more of a fan of on the other hand as compared to nonetheless, nevertheless, because they are difficult to spell out. Imagine, if you write nevertheless, there's a tendency that you might miss one E, right? So this is a misspelled word that will take off points for both your vocabulary and grammar. So we have to be careful. Clear? Okay, coherence, paragraphing, how many? 5. If you don't want to write 5, simply because you're too hard-headed to follow simple instructions, then let me remind you that your enrollment is 1 year. You can maximize your stay here if you fail and fail and fail over and over again. If you don't want to see me for long, if you don't want to stay here for long, if you want to continue drinking hard liquor on a Friday night and not to attend classes anymore on Saturday morning, follow my instruction, follow my advice. If it is, do you agree? To what extent? Advantage, disadvantage, 5 paragraphs, you will pass. Coherence and cohesion. But don't forget the discourse markers, the cohesive devices, the transition signals, ang daming terms sa pwedeng gamitin, the in addition, moreover, however, on the other hand, please use them accordingly. Okay? Alright. So we have here the question, the best way to solve the world's environmental problem is to increase the cost of fuel. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? So now we will analyze what is the prompt. The prompt is actually the statement where we have to make a stand about, stand for, or stand against. Okay? So this is the best way to solve the world's environmental problem is to increase the cost of fuel. Now, what is the question or the actual instruction? It says, to what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? In some occasions, you will not see the task prompt being just one sentence. Sometimes this will be a combination of 2 sentences. Okay? So, the one that appears near the instruction. So, let's say, we have one more sentence right here. So we will now call this the BS or the background statement. This is still the prompt because this is the one closer to your instruction or to what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement. Okay? So once again, we have 2 kinds of format. We have the format 1, you agree, disagree 100%, and you agree, disagree to a certain opposing view on either paragraph 4 or paragraph 2, which I'm going to explain more in depth later. So these are some sample task descriptions. Before we continue, it's already 10:08. We will be taking a quick 5-minute break just for me to drink my water. After that, we will resume. Right, so look at this question. A country will develop quickly and will become more interesting if the population is made up of different nationality and culture. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? So this is a sample question, or otherwise known as your task description. Task description is the complete set of instructions given to you, including the prescribed number of words, and the amount of time you are to complete the task, which is 40 minutes. Then we have the museums and artwork. So this is about immigration. This sounds like global economy of some sort. This is about art. So our first format is the 100%. Which means you completely agree. So because you cannot mention 100% in your stand, we will be using word translation of 100%. You can choose between completely, fully, totally, wholeheartedly, entirely, really, very much, downright, and strongly. Once again, people, we have 2 kinds, all right? We have the basic, do you agree or disagree, which we will use the approach number 1, and the to what extent 100%. Now, you know what separates your 100% do you agree, disagree, to what extent, from the basic do you agree, disagree, is the intensifier, the adverb. Kasi kung isipin nyo, no, if you're going to think about it, how do you answer a to what extent question? How do you answer a to what extent question? What does a to what extent question even mean? Ano ba ibig sabihin nun? What does it mean? Yan. Translate that in Tagalog. Hanggang saan? Hanggang saan yung paniniwala mo doon sa stand mo? Gets mo? Halimbawa, willing ka bang makipag-rally para doon sa pinaniniwalaan mo? Pag oo, 100% yan. Guys, tandaan nyo ha, the only one that has a right with this word is if you see at what extent at the beginning of your do you agree, disagree. Because I keep on seeing a lot of candidates, when they practice, they include completely, I completely agree, I totally agree. In the common, in the basic, raw, agree, disagree na walang to what extent. Now, the question is, why are you including an adverb? Wala namang to what extent sa question mo. It's only do you agree, disagree. But the concept is different now. If you see to what extent, the beginning of your question, and your stand is 100%, which means you are willing to go to war just to defend your stand. Use these words. I'm just explaining to you when do you use these words and when you are not allowed to use these words. Okay? So many countries have now banned smoking in public places. Some people feel that governments should ban smoking entirely. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So I will be using 100% disagree. 100% agree that smoking should be banned entirely, not just in public places, but it is illegal to sell cigarettes. All right? So once again, the completely, fully, totally, wholeheartedly pick among those words. There is an alarming increase in the number of smokers worldwide, and this has led many countries to impose restrictions on smoking in public places. However, while this policy may possibly reduce the consumption of cigarettes, I firmly support the idea that governments should consider forbidding smoking everywhere. So body, this is where you argue. Since this is 100%, we will use the pattern of the basic agree, disagree. You see their similarities now, right? We will just be justifying, answering the question, why? Why did I disagree or agree in the first place? So I'll explain, I will elaborate, I will expound on the topic, I will also give examples on this. So one paragraph of the body, once again, how many paragraphs do you have? Assuming that you have an introduction and conclusion, you have a total of 5 paragraphs. That means you will be dedicating 1 paragraph for the introduction, 3 paragraphs for the body, and then 1 paragraph for the conclusion, giving a total of 5. So in total, the body contains 3 individual paragraphs. So each of those paragraphs contains one reason why you agree, why you disagree. So you will explain, explanation of it, and justify with evidence. Once again, examples to support your stand are only optional. For the entire essay, at most, you can give one sample and that's going to be enough. If you put the example in paragraph 2, in paragraph 3, or in paragraph 4, as long as you have one sample for the entire essay, that's good. That's good to go. Argument 1, smoking is the leading cause of many life-threatening diseases such as lung cancer and heart-related diseases. It does not only affect the users but also those people around them. In fact, secondhand smoke is proven to be as dangerous as active smoke to those who inhale it. Therefore, if tobaccos are not banned completely, smokers and individuals exposed to secondhand smoke from cigarettes consumed in private places may still contract these diseases. It is also important to note that the consequences of smoking can affect the economy of a country. Although tobacco companies generate revenues and contribute to the government through taxes, these monetary gains do not offset the cost of health care for smoke-related illnesses. If cigarettes are not forbidden, governments will need to continue funding the treatment and management of these diseases, and in the long run, this would negatively impact the nation's economy. Furthermore, the manufacture, distribution, and use of tobacco products can cause considerable harm to the environment. The production of cigarettes requires the use of chemicals which can contaminate bodies of water. In addition to that, cigarettes also contain thousands of toxic substances which are breathed out and released into the atmosphere. This is not to mention the fact that cigarette butts, which is a type of toxic waste, can end up in rivers and lakes and destroy animal habitats. So look at the words I'm using. Furthermore, in addition to that, it is also important, although I'm using those connecting devices smoothly. Therefore, those are discourse markers that you need to use. In conclusion, forbidding smoking in public places alone cannot substantially reduce the damaging effects of smoking to individuals, nations, and the environment. In my opinion, smoking should be banned completely, which would lead to a much healthier society. So this is my sample number 2. Read it later when you get home. So I will now teach you how to do the ideal approach, the modified opinion. I will teach you slowly how to write a legitimate introduction in tandem with the task description given to you. So the approach number 1, which was very fast, I know, we have 2 samples here. I am recommending, I am suggesting, please attend my Do You Agree or Disagree lecture. Because that's exactly what we have seen in my first 2 samples, because they are under the 100% agree-disagree category. Now, our ideal approach or approach number 2, the 70-30 or the modified opinion. Part 1, introduction and stand. Once again, people, we will use what? We will use intensifiers. We will use adverbs, because once again, the question begins with to what extent. To what extent in Tagalog translates to hanggang saan. So because previously you said you're willing to go to war, that is 100%. So you are using very strong words like completely, totally, diba? But in this case, this is for the most part, because 70, 30. Majority, generally, almost entirely, almost, but not the entire, mostly and predominantly, you can choose among these 5 options we have right here to highlight the intensity of your stand, to highlight the percentage, to highlight where you stand in this opinion of yours. So we have here, the internet has made traditional libraries unnecessary. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Now, where is the prompt? This is the prompt. There's only 1 sentence here. Okay, so we will be going slowly here. Then this is your instruction. This is where we base our format from. and then discuss giving examples from your own knowledge. This is a special instruction for paragraph 4. So more of that later. Okay. So, now we brainstorm. The internet has made traditional libraries unnecessary. Now the question for you guys is library useless today? Yes. Like no one will think, hey, I need to know about what is the capital city of Zimbabwe. Let me go to a library so that I can read the atlas and read the maps of the world so that I can guarantee. No, you open your Google. Sometimes you will be using just the voice prompt. Hey Google, hey Gemini, hey ChatGPT, what's the capital city of Zimbabwe? And that's it. Diba? You will get an answer instantly. Now, why will I use 70-30 and not completely, not 100%? That libraries are completely unnecessary because partly, may silbi pa rin siya eh. Library still has its use. You know to whom? To those people who cannot afford to buy gadgets, who cannot connect to the internet, who cannot buy internet subscription. So we still have to maintain it so that those people can still learn despite not having the technology. Okay? Now, I keep on using the word stand. Once again, stand is your answer. Stand is your opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, you have to write that on the last sentence of the first paragraph. Remember this is the combination. Your modifier, your adverb, if it's 100%, completely, totally, wholeheartedly, entirely. Since this is 70-30, this will be almost entirely, predominantly, for the most part. Alam mo, 249 words ang ginamit mo predominantly. Kung for the most part ka, 252 ka, pasado ka na. Okay? So use words that you can write more simply, that can produce more words. Alright? So, the last sentence of your first paragraph or the introductory paragraph is the combination of your modifier, your adverb. So, in this case, nasa 70-30 tayo. For the most part, I support the notion. Yan. Yan ang atake dyan. I almost entirely find myself in accord with the notion that I predominantly disaccord with. So you just have to combine those, and that will be your legitimate stand. People from Zoom meeting, can you guys follow? So once again, this is 70-30. We will be using words that describe a 70-30 approach. I gave you 5 options. And you will combine it with this. I am not in favor of. So, paano yun? Di ba? I predominantly am not in favor of. Predominantly, comma, I am not in favor of. You can also use something like that. Okay? For the most part, I find myself in accord with the notion that libraries are unnecessary, but I do not neglect the fact that they can also offer knowledge to people who cannot afford gadgets. That's the complete sentence of your stand. So let's see how we can use our lessons, our learning from this kind of task description. So once again, for people who want to get a band 6, At least. There should be at least 4 to 6 new words from the task description to your introduction. Meaning, if you will be changing, let's say, growing, increasing, overweight, obese, people, individuals, strain, pressure. So you already have 4, correct? Okay. Healthcare system, I didn't change that. Some people, individuals, think, believe, best, optimal, this is already 6. Okay? 6 words, 6 for vocabulary. But if I will be completely overhauling, not just changing the words into their synonyms, I'll be introducing it using my own words. Okay? For example, let me begin with this. The healthcare system is already under extreme pressure due to the current system is already under extreme pressure due to the increase in the rate of who become obese. Some people think, in line with this, a lot of individuals believe that the optimal way to address this issue, deal with this problem, address this issue, is to introduce more physical education lessons, to add more hours to physical education classes. Dahil 70-30 ako dito, this is how I will write my stand. For the most part, I am in favor of this notion, but I also believe that parental guidance would be better included in this movement. Yeah. This is how I will write my own introduction. So, taking into consideration the vocabulary aspect of your writing, you will not see me repeating a word here. Like people is now changed into individuals. I didn't use the words from the task description. So I am hopeful that I can get a band 7.5 or 8 in vocabulary in this kind of discussion. Sir, dito ka't magtitingin. Hindi ako, naala sa akin ang lesson. Makakalimutan mo yan pag sa akin ka nakatingin. So this is my sample from the past. Many individuals believe that the issue of obesity can be rectified. When you say rectified, means corrected, can be corrected through the facilitation of more physical education classes to the curriculum, so as to relieve the burden of the health system in the future. I predominantly find myself in accord. So this time around, I use predominantly. Kanina, ang ginamit ko for the most part. Diba? I can use it interchangeably whenever I'm trying to use a 70-30. But I do not neglect other factors, which is, in my case, parental guidance is, for me, the most powerful part here. So, this is my introduction for the library. The modernization of technology has made access to information a lot easier more than ever before. Some people believe that due to this, the traditional way of learning through libraries is no longer essential. This is the reason why I almost entirely support the idea, di ba? But I do not neglect the fact. So this is your 70, which means you will be defending this for 2 paragraphs. And this libraries must be maintained. This I do not neglect the fact. This is your 30, which will require you 1 paragraph explaining the benefits of still having libraries around. So arguments, in terms of education, this is my first argument. There's no doubt that the internet propels the academe to greater heights since obtaining information is much more accessible through online web search engines like Google than traveling all the way to a library to search for the needed information. Individuals can do this easily with a few clicks and taps whenever they want to, wherever they may be. Moreover, because I started with a positive, I'm now going to add another positive resource here. Online resource materials such as electronic files are also less expensive and more eco-friendly than books. The cost that people need to pay for physical copies is much higher compared to ebooks since they require cutting of trees, processing the wood, making paper, printing, and even transporting. All these contribute greatly to the environmental problems the world is currently facing. However, this is my 30, ito yung kabig. I can attest that libraries contain literary articles that are still essential even today. Many people who live in the remote areas still do not have access to stable internet connection or even the money to buy electronic equipment for access to different websites. This is the reason why I still believe that libraries are vital to the ones who need to study despite not having the gadgets and internet connection. So this, why I still believe this one, I would like to highlight because you will see some questions that include provide knowledge, provide example based on your knowledge and experience. Take note that we are not supposed to write a narrative here. When you say narrative, kwento mo, no? Na my neighbor, my dog, when I was young, I was bitten by a dog. That's why anti-rabies vaccines must be available for everyone. No, you are not supposed to use narratives because remember, writing task 2 is formal writing. And formal writing must be void from any hints of your personal content or personal stories. But sir, I'm being prompted. See, magbigay daw ako ng sarili kong experience. That's a trap. If you're going to do that, you will be trapped and you will have a low band score in coherence and cohesion. Instead of doing that, be the second-hand experience. Diba? So start your sentence like this. As I have experience, as I have seen, as I have observed, I noticed many people. I witnessed many people. Your viewpoints, seeing them. Okay, so you are the second-hand experience, not the first line. In conclusion, although the internet is indeed a technological marvel when it comes to information acquisition, I'm also in favor of library improvements so the ones who need them can access the knowledge as well. Together, society can become more educated and ensuring learning for everyone through online and physical books. So try to come up with an interesting introduction and conclusion to be able to impress the examiners, encourage them to read your essay, and please practice, have your writing tasks checked. So here are some samples. Some people believe that government should ban dangerous sports even though others claim they should have the freedom to choose a sport to their liking. So what dangerous sports do you think we should ban here or the government should ban? Diba? Boxing. Literally punching each other. Kickboxing. MMA. Mixed martial arts tournaments. even basketball, diba? Sometimes can get too physical. So do you agree that government should ban dangerous sports? Ako, 70-30 ako dito. Which means, I disagree that government should ban dangerous sports, but I agree still that they should ban the unregulated blood sports, or what we call underground matchmaking. Yeah. Sports is one of the most common pastime activities that many individuals do. In line with this, many people are of the opinion that there are certain competitive games that authorities must prohibit. However, I predominantly support persons' freedom to choose whatever sport they want, but I also, ito yung kabig, in 30%, that regulations must be implemented. The physicality that people experience from playing sports is something that cannot be removed. In addition, it's one of the reasons why people play extreme sports, and that is to feel the adrenaline rush. Such games like racing and martial arts are what many people perceive as dangerous, but that is where the excitement happens, resulting to their popularity. Furthermore, physical games like boxing have huge sponsorships. If the government would instantly ban many extreme sports and ball games, rather, the multi-billion-dollar industries would affect the global economy negatively. For example, the National Basketball Association of the USA generates $6 billion yearly, excluding the merchandise and valuation of each team. Stopping games like these would leave thousands of athletes unemployed, including the management, staff, and even employees who depend on games to write articles. This is just for one sport alone. Paano pa yung MMA? Paano pa yung boxing? Paano pa yung taekwondo? Paano pa yung grappling, judo, sumo, di ba? Those are sports. On the other hand, there are unregulated games and even illegal fighting matches that are undetected. These activities promote gambling while not ensuring the participants' safety. If these blood sports continue, the players are at risk and the government does not even earn a single tax revenue from them. Conclusion, playing sports should be a freedom enjoyed by everyone. Even though individuals are allowed to play whatever games they choose, government must still regulate the safety of the participants to ensure that enjoyment and sportsmanship are met. In some countries, it is common for school leavers to take a year off between finishing school and starting university. What extent? Do you agree or disagree with this practice? So the question is, agree ka ba na dapat magbakasyon muna ng isang taon? Di ba pati yan nagiging tanong? Kita niya? Pati yung kung magbabakasyon ako ng isang taon o hindi, nagiging question sa exam. So, that sometimes are questions you have to ponder on in the test. In many nations worldwide, the concept of not enrolling at a university as soon as someone graduates secondary level is becoming rampant these days. Has become rampant these days. In relation to this, I'm generally not in favor of the idea, although I believe it could be beneficial for a selected few. Taking a break from studying may indeed give opportunities to some individuals. During this time, graduates can either pursue summer jobs and part-time work. The money they could save would then be used for their tuition fees. This will make them more responsible. However, it is not ideal since they are not well experienced enough and could be paid less than what they deserve. This could lead to work exploitation if not corrected early on. Furthermore, there's no best time to enroll at a university besides right after graduation. This gives students an edge since the basic knowledge they have acquired from collective years of studying can be used in a more advanced setting, especially when studying specific courses. Moreover, the knowledge they have are still fresh as compared to when they take a year off, which could make them forget some of the important lessons from previous learnings. On the other hand, ito na yung 30, ito na yung kabig. Since going to school could be tedious, some individuals feel that they need to take a year off to avoid burnout. This is to give themselves a proper rest for the meantime before engaging in a more advanced level of studying. It could be beneficial to these people since they will be regaining confidence after enjoying a break from schooling. They could also use this time to think which course would be the most suitable for them. In conclusion, although many individuals today want to take a rest before enrolling to college right after they graduate secondary level, I still believe that a shorter vacation of 3 to 4 months could be enough. This is to keep the balance of taking break and preparing high school graduates for the university life ahead. So this is me giving suggestion in the conclusion. Conclusion should be the summary of everything you talked about. Plus, if you can give some suggestions, something that can round up everything, something that can give this a sense of closure, then please do so. I typed this live for 8 minutes with 293 words. That is why may mga mali ako na has becoming, wala akong comma dito, no? So, this will be your assignment. The recent popularity of online shopping will result in the end of high street shops. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Please copy, please take a screenshot if you want. Once again, since you will be taking rather a pen and paper base exam, I suggest that you type it on a computer, in a laptop, okay? So right before we end, I am going to do one sample. Ito. Alternative. Lakayan pa natin. So 70-30 ako dyan. Agree ako na dapat encourage ang other form of public transport or other kinds of transport besides car. No? But of course, kailangan pa rin nating magkaroon ng car, ma-maintain pa rin siya kasi meron pa rin siyang ino-offer na comfort and security. Oras sa akin, 10:50. Let's begin. Around the world, traffic congestion is becoming more rampant than ever before. This issue rouse speculations from the masses whether various methods of transport system should be implemented, including cooperation from various international bodies. In my opinion, although this, my opinion, I predominantly agree find myself in accord para palitan natin that such ideology could manage excessive car usage. But I do not neglect the fact that people must be allowed to use their cars, their vehicles freely. Okay. Wait lang. One of the long-standing problems that cities all over the world face is traffic. This is due to the lack of available public transport system to the public. Oftentimes, although present, the transport mode is uncomfortable and unsafe. For example, in the Philippines, tayo lumayo, and India, sama na natin yan, there are about 5 million in the Philippines na lang muna. There are about 5 million passengers taking the public transport. Yet, its carrying capacity is only less than half. Therefore, individuals do not have a choice but to buy their cars to avoid discomfort. Yeah. However, by having more available modes, system available, more available modes of transport for the masses, the roads will be decongested since people will be more motivated to park their cars and ride the bus instead. As a result, fewer cars, automobiles, parang di repetitive yung cars, will be on the road, which would be more efficient for both fuel consumption and fare costs. This would be more encouraging for an everyday commuter, since owning a car also requires looking for an available parking space. In addition, in many European countries, the promotion of public transport system also include safer and shaded walking areas that are encouraging for the people to use instead of their cars. Such policies came from various ideas, research, and implementation from various international groups, and is making a wave in a lot of different nations today. As a result, more people are putting pressure to their government to enhance the mass transit system, thereby reducing the traffic congestion. In conclusion, through the help of many nations around the world, the slow implementation of various slow installation, the installation of slow of various mass transport could materialize everywhere soon. However, in places where it is safer to own a private vehicle, let us not force them to use the public if it is unsafe. In the future, okay na yan. 374, tanggalin ko to. 347, 11:52 ako nag-start. 11:03, 52, 11 minutes, 3:47 words. Marami pa akong pwedeng i-edit, marami pa akong pwedeng palitan, marami pa akong pwedeng gawin dyan. So again, magaling na kaming gumawa kasi nga matagal na namin itong ginagawa. So kayo, paano kayo gagaling kung hindi pa kayo magsisimulang gumawa? Okay? Assignment kayo. If you don't want to do the assignment I flashed, you can look for questions on the orange book that I will be posting this afternoon as well. Okay? Alright. Wala pong questions mga Zoom participants. Si Angel, Brian, Christian, Marlon, Nico, and Robert. Because if you don't have any, that is the end of our discussion. I have some longer versions of this discussion in my other videos. I will be uploading, I'll be including the link, the post that I will be sharing later. 3 replays. My most recent replay, my longest replay, today's replay, so that you can shuffle through them. Ano sa tingin mo mas gusto mong panoodin, if it's up to you. And the handout, and also the orange book. Okay? So you still have a lot of things to do. You still have tomorrow to take a rest. But on Monday, since we don't have class every Monday, you can review whatever we discussed today so that you can maximize your weekend. Alright? So have a nice day ahead. God bless and good luck, everyone. Bye.